Welcome to this episode of the Love Lab Live. I am Michelle Larkin. I'm a transformational coach with Queen's Moves, and
I am Edward LeVar or L. Fairley, the founder and CEO of No Love Incorporated.
the Love Lab Live is based on the relationship simulator that Edward L. Fairley created, and it is a tool to help you really build good habits and practice your relationships before you get into good relationships, or be able to kind of play the scenarios out and learn more about yourself as you learn how to relate in relationships. So it's based on that, and please visit the website and find out more. Edward, what's the website to find out more about love, no love?
Uh, NoLoveInc.com. That's KN as in Nancy OW Love LOVE Inc. IN as in Nancy C.com. So NoLoveInc.com.
Awesome. So don't forget to visit noloveinc.com. Today, we're going to talk about kind of the ambiguity of mixed signals and how to deal with that in relationships. So we're going to pull back the curtain on the confusing world of mixed signals, whether it's the slow texting habits that people have, or future faking, which is a term I just learned about in the researching for today, or the exhausting push and pull dynamic, which I have experienced in working with people around me who've had push pull. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then we kind of going to have Eddie as our SME kind of break down kind of what those behaviors may mean and how to determine when it's time to kind of stop waiting and start walking. How long are you going to stay in this situation before moving on and taking care of yourself? So I'm going to start with some kind of framing a little bit today. So why words and actions often drift apart in the early stages of dating. So in the research for today, some of the things I was finding out in social media spaces of dating is that, like you go on a site to date, a dating site, and you put your profile up, right? And you describe yourself. And typically it's for to attract a certain particular person. But it seems like people are experiencing that the words that come out of people's mouths in that first early kind of interaction and the way they show up seems to have some kind of confusion. What are your thoughts about how you should show up when you start dating, and maybe even what your thoughts are about online dating?
Okay, yeah, so we would have to pick a
Either.
lane. So which one are we going in? How we show up in dating or how we online dating? Which one? Pick a lane and we'll
I'm
go there.
gonna start with the what. Let's start with how you should show up on dating, and then we'll go a little more specifically in online dating. But so how should how do you show up in dating?
See, that question always bothers me, but I get it
Hmm.
either directly or indirectly all the time. And the reason why it bothers me is because I don't know how to show up outside of being myself. So if you're considering how you should show up, you've already taken yourself and the authentic aspect of you out of the equation, and you're thinking about impressing someone as opposed to being yourself and then someone choosing and liking who you are, which also means you're about to set yourself up to either be in a relationship that you don't want to be in because that person is going to select or choose based off of the front that you presented. So the
Okay.
only way that I know or I would recommend someone to show up is their true and authentic self.
I think that's cool from the standpoint of, well, number one, know your authentic self, right? And having been someone who has had and finally integrated, but had different personas, right? So I had a persona that I showed up at work. I was a boss, so I'm not going to show up as a boss to my friends and try to control them. I had a persona of a mom. I'm not going to try to mom at work because but to your point, I understand that truly being authentic means that may be a different facet of your personality, but it's still at the core who you are. So if you want to unpack that a little bit, I can understand, and as somebody believing potentially that to show up as a potential mate, I may be showing you a, not the mom, not the boss. maybe the softer side of me, or same for, on the male side, or I'm not showing up as, I don't know, dad to you. I'm not trying to father you in this relationship. So can you understand kind of why people might use those terms?
I wish I could say yes.
I mean, be you.
But
'Cause that's what
yeah,
people
yeah.
be,
No,
be
I'm just
you.
saying. I wish I could say yes. And like when you compartmentalize it like that, and I'm pretty sure there's so many people that are nodding their head yes, but there's no father Eddie, there's no husband Eddie, there's no uh, brother Eddie, be it church scene, there's no work CEO Eddie, there's no when I was in corporate America Eddie. No one would be able to say that I am different in a different area. Matter of fact, there's literally a saying in just my circle of, oh, you've just been Eddie, or that's just Eddie. There's no one's gonna say, my wife wouldn't say, well, that's just, I don't even know how to frame a statement that she could say that would suggest that I'm different. I am. So which makes life so much easier for me, and I can see why that would make someone so chaotic because they're, oh, okay, right now I am father, right now I am mother, right now I am CEO, right now
It's how you
I
show up.
am.
What you have to do, right? So as a mom, right? So you're showing up, taking responsibility for everybody. Typically, you might show taking responsibility, having to think about their schedules, what's important to them, and so you don't want to show up like that to a potential mate because you're not hoping to walk into this to be their mom. But you are a mom, so I get that. I don't know if it's chaotic, but I think what you're saying, and if I'm hearing you correctly, is don't worry so much about the role that you play and sitting in defining yourself as the partner or the dating person when you show up. Just show up. Don't worry about the role of being a person you're dating.
Yeah, I mean, but also to take it a step further, just to avoid any kind of confusion in what it is that I'm saying, you know me better than most. Would
I'm
you
glad.
suggest would you suggest that there's a parent me and a CEO me? There's a difference.
Think that
Do I
what
take
no, you
on
know, and this is what I've learned about being with you, right? Of being around and being around you as the husband, father, friend, all the things, is that your core principles, your core character is expressed in different roles. You don't focus on the behavior of that role. You show up as this is how my character is based in honesty, it's based in transparency, it's based in connecting, right? So if I'm going to what I you don't show up as the role, you show up as I'm who I am and I'm going to serve you in this way or I'm going to connect to you in this way. Whereas I think some of us who are socialized to put on the uniform, to put on the
yeah,
mask, to put on the hat, to put on the outfit, to play the part, to get the end game, we don't do that. And so we have to
yeah,
really pivot to, again, what I'm saying is don't come to a dating situation thinking it's another uniform I got to put on, it's
yeah,
another hat I got to put on, it's not another
yeah.
mask I got to put on. It's not that. You should
Yeah, because
not worry about
what you just said is all right. So if we were to subscribe to that, in which as you just said, people are. If people are saying there's a dating hat, they're also saying there's a relationship hat. They're also saying there's a marriage hat. So they're like going through this evolution or these changes, and that's
that.
why stuff gets messed up. Whereas me, even going back to my children, my wife, my approach to any relationship is to allow for you to get rid of your mask, be honest and authentic with me, but ultimately to create a relationship between you and I that allows for the evolution of you to be independent of the need of me.
Okay.
That is
Okay.
in every single facet. So be it I'm your quote unquote boss, I am your quote unquote employee, I am your quote unquote mother. I mean, I'm your father. I'm your spouse. That is the same all across the board. That never changed. I actually had a young lady who was running her business, and she was saying like it's difficult having her husband work with her in her establishment, because it's hard for her to um, separate the spouse from the employee. And I said, well, then if that's the case, then you're mistreating your employees. And she was like, well, what do you mean by that? I said, well, to me, if you feel that there's a role that causes you to have a hard time with telling your husband to do whatever, the way that you're saying it to your employees is not a way that you should be speaking to people. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the issue with flipping hats. So if you're respectful across the board, which I am, I don't have a problem with saying, "Could you do this for me, please?" or what have you, as opposed to you saying, "Go get the whatever out of the refrigerator."
Hmm.
What you're struggling with by you saying that to me is saying that to your husband because you don't feel that that's right to speak to your husband that way. Which my philosophy is, if you speak to everyone with respect, I don't have to alter the way that I speak to people.
I think that you kind of hit on and kind of backed us into what we were really talking about, which is mixed signals, right? So mixed signals seems to be, as we're talking this through, based on the fact that there people may be wearing different hats, right? So the hat that you're wearing and the hat the other person is wearing, it may not be this on the same page, and so therefore the signals are getting missed. For example,
Yeah,
you're showing up as authentic. You're showing up, this is who I am, and they're wearing the boyfriend hat or the girlfriend hat, and you're like, what? What? Why are you doing that? How do I read that if they have different hats that they're switching through and you don't? That could be one of those the
yeah.
disconnect, right? That could be a
Well,
source.
that's confusing. That's exactly what that is. It's confusing not only to the person that is a recipient of it, it's confusing to you. And that's why people are stressed. And they're like, well, I gotta go here and I gotta do this, as opposed to just I am B.
Well, I think again, I think people think being is a luxury. Having to do, to earn, to perform, to justify, to validate, to pursue, to drive, to do is a thing,
That
right?
sounds
So
that sounds
I
exhausting.
get it.
Everything that you just said. No, I'm just saying those words, perform, drive, all of that, that is exhausting. Who wouldn't want to clock out?
It is exhausting, and I think that it is exhausting, and it's why you also hear a lot about self care, about take time for yourself, about relax and all this kind of stuff, because in this thing we call a rat race slash cultural pursuit of X, it's exhausting, and I think that one of the things, since we're going back to relationships, and the relationships, as you kind of alluded to, is mother, father,
It's,
sister, and brother,
it's everything.
boyfriend, girlfriends, all the things, right? So mixed signals sometimes are rooted in the identity crisis of circulating through these different hats that you have to wear, and so they can be mismatched. Another thing I wanted to kind of ask you about is, like, sometimes people are complaining that people are hot and cold, right? And that's kind of a push pull, and there's a dynamic that was revealed to me, and I was talking to my daughter actually, and there's this dynamic of a psychological push pull where people want to feel pursued or they want to be in control, one or the other, but they will love bomb you, if you will, or be fully present and get all excited. And as soon as you turn toward them, they pull back. And it's based in some sort of need to have tension in the relationship, to feel like alive or feel wanted or feel in control or something. And this hot or cold can cause a lot of stress and can be also a mixed signal. Have you experienced that from in coaching? Do you have any thoughts on that?
You said a couple of things, so I'm just trying to clarify what the actual question is. Um, because I heard push
How do we
pull.
deal with
I
somebody who's
heard.
showing up as hot and cold? That's really my question. Is but I wanted to give you a chance to define hot and cold if I wasn't clear.
All right, so say again. What's
People tend there's this phenomenon where people are in a relationship or starting a relationship, and the one person will pour into, show up, highly emotional, highly connected in pursuit, so to speak. As soon as the other person leans toward that and starts to begin to trust that and to lean in, they pull back. And so now the person who's taken a little bit of time to lean in is now confused because the signal you gave me, which was yes, 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 pull, come toward me. Now, when I come toward you, you pull back, and now you're either not as available, you're not as responsive. And as soon as you pull back and go, all right, well, I'm not, I'm not giving. Then all of a sudden they come back to, hey, wait, don't go. So this is a phenomenon that is happening currently in the dating scene.
Okay,
So
so
my question
uh,
is, how do
yeah.
you have any advice for dealing with that? For somebody who's dealing with something like that. And where do you think it
So
comes from? What are your thoughts about it?
all right, so I mean, there's so many. There's not one answer to this. I'll
I would
start with
agree.
that.
Hmm.
Two, I need us to listen to the words that we say. Like, for example, you said, "How does someone deal?" I'm not dealing with anything. Can we start with that?
Does that mean you
The
like
concept
first
of
time they pull back, you not
the,
stay
the
what we
concept.
saying?
No, no, I'm saying the concept of dealing with something means you don't want to be in that predicament. So you're dealing with it. That's the word that you use
That's
when
true.
you don't really feel like doing something. So I got to deal with this guy. You hear it all the time.
It's in exchange for wanting to have a relationship. I may tolerate or deal with some things, and that's I
It,
think what you're getting at. If I'm hearing you, you're saying if you are in a space where you're thinking in exchange for some sort of attention or relationship, I need to quote deal, then that is an indicator of something.
that's an indicator in itself. You're dealing. Why you have to deal when you have a choice? So I'll choose not to deal. I'm not dealing with anything. All right. Because now you're talking about interrupting my peace, which I have with or without you. So I'm not dealing with anything. So that's one. Two. So there's a lot of things that you have to ask yourself with this. Well, is it possible that after you shared, they just didn't like what you shared? And as they got to know you, which is why they made themselves available to get to know you, when they got to know you, they decided, I don't like what I know.
I
So I
think that
back off.
works up and until the moment you pull back and then they rush in again. Then that's
All
a
right,
problem.
so I hadn't finished yet.
My
Um,
apologies. My apologies.
so with that, that typically means you've given them something that the emotional aspect is not what they want, but the other aspect is something that they want. That could be conversation, that could be sex, that could
Could
be
be.
whatever. So
Hmm.
it's something that they're trying to hold on to, but they don't want the entire package that comes with the what they're holding on to. So when you do the stuff that suggests that, hey, you're doing too much, that's where they're backing off. But if you give them that thing that they are looking for, then that's what's keeping you around. So basically, they don't want you. They want the benefit that you provide them, and not the entirety of you.
Yeah, I mean, having experienced it, I think to your point, there's something that they're getting out of the exchange. Otherwise, they wouldn't not want to let you go, so to speak, right? Like, so there's something. The question is it enough for what you guys are you personally are trying to determine as a relationship, or not? And typically, if it's hot and cold and it's on and off and it's causing you some sort of consternation, it's not. It's probably
Now,
not.
here's the thing: the reason why a person is dealing with that is because that one thing they like it too.
Be honest. Let's be honest with ourselves.
They like it too. They just want more than that, but it's that thing that you're consistently providing. And
Hey,
9 times out of 10, it's going to be sex.
true. I'll say also attention, and I'm because I like attention, right? It's not a sex thing. I like to be checked on. I love a good check-in, but that isn't commitment, right? So a good check-in, a good what do you call it? A dopamine hit, really, isn't a commitment. It is something like you said. It's mutually enjoyable, but it isn't necessarily the basis of a relationship.
But also, suggesting that you like a check in could also suggest that you like being lied to. Because who checks in on somebody that they don't really want to be with? So it seems like they're doing stuff to perform to give you the hit so that they can get whatever it is that they want out of you. But this doesn't necessarily mean that you're getting attention. You could be getting lied to, which makes you feel like you're getting attention. So you stay around and now they got what they want. That's such
And
a
you
thing.
got what you want. To be honest, like you said, there's something about it you like too. So it's not
Got what I
whether
want.
you're being lied to or not. If you accept it and you choose to like it, then you there's nothing to be mad about. You made a
I
choice.
mean, the whole thing is a lie. If you're dealing with something, you're dealing with something because you're probably telling yourself a lie to deal with it.
We'll eventually get to that a little early. Um, so there's another scenario that kind of is kind of floating around right now too. It's called future faking, which is something I just learned about while I was doing a little checking around for today. And it's really it's kind of the question I'm trying to get you to help us kind of work through is really is this genuine excitement or avoidant behavior? And avoidant behavior is what we were just talking about, is back and forth. So the future faking is this idea of talking commitment from the standpoint of, I want to grow old with you, or I want to take a trip to, I don't know, Dubai with you someday, and planning for, things in the future, and ideating and thinking about it and dreaming about what we could do together, yet at the same time, not committing to regular dates or short term things such as coming to an event or having, like I said, a date on a regular basis. And so it's I'm gonna say, because you don't necessarily live in this world, but in the world that was built by Disney, where we have a Cinderella story and we hope to live happily ever after, male or female, this idea of planning a future together tends to imply that there is a desire to have a relationship, in which case we will be together long enough to have this quote Dubai trip. Yet the present experience isn't laying the foundation for that. So that's technically what future faking is. And I think it kind of goes to what you're saying is, what do we believe? Do we believe the fairy tale, or do we believe what we see?
So is that a question or a statement? Because
I don't know the
it's a
answer. I
lot.
mean, I've been on. I
I
get
mean,
the idea.
if there's a question, then there's an answer. But that I didn't hear a question. You made multiple statements, and
I
I'm
think the
following.
question I'm
But yeah,
saying is, in that scenario, there are people in that scenario. They deal with this. It's part of that online dating, or it's part of the early dating stages where you're starting to like each other, you're talking to each other, and people are talking because for whatever reason, I don't know the motive. Um, they're baiting you, if you will, by talking about the future, which would keep you engaged, yet not meeting your current immediate need to potentially spend time or commit to a particular activity. So that back and forth, that ambiguity, do you have any advice for how to evaluate that?
I'm all right. So clarify this. Is this give me an and I'm trying to get a solid scenario because right now we're speaking all over the place. Because I
Joe,
can
I
talk.
just met him online. I just
Mm-hmm.
went out on a date with him. We had a
Mm-hmm.
great time. We talk
Uh-huh.
pretty much once a day. He
Mm-hmm.
tends to talk about going to Dubai on Tuesday. He talks about
Mm-hmm.
Dubai. We talk about what it would cost. We talk about what we would do when we get there. We
Mm-hmm.
talk about how much fun, how, we're looking forward to it. I say, or he says, hey, no, I say, I'd like to see you on Friday. Oh man, something's coming up. Blah, blah, blah. But we'll call me the next day and have a great conversation and we'll chit chat and we'll talk about, I don't know, maybe like July 4th, which is, a couple months away, and how much fun we will have. And then, I say, well, when can we see each other? And he goes, well, I'll think about maybe we can do something on Tuesday. So it's that.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Stop, stop. You said July 4th. Did July 4th come and y'all didn't meet up?
No,
Oh, so you're listening to someone who sets dates and they don't follow through on the dates. What's the question that we're really asking?
that's what I was trying to get at. I think what you're saying is the question is, are you going to trust somebody who's not consistent or doesn't show up and isn't truthful? Is that what we're saying? Right?
Facts are facts. Like the truth is. this person is a liar. All right, so all right, let's do this. Do you want someone that has integrity and you can trust their word? Based on this example, you've proven that this person is not a person that you can trust their word. This is not rocket science. It's not. So who's lying? Is it them or are you lying to yourself by saying, I believe that eventually he or she is going to do what it is that she said, and that he or she is really into me and they want to spend time with me and be with me? Who's lying?
I think that is the root of all of the scenarios, right? And what's interesting again, and there's a gift that you have, is that you will boil it down to the lowest common denominator and make it very simple. Yet there are people who every day do not have that ability to laser focus on the very simplest common denominator, or do what you're saying, which is take a look in the mirror. What am I really saying about me if I put up with this?
So we've had multiple shows, and I'm trying to say it a different way, but I don't understand. I'm again, I'm really trying hard. Typically, I say you don't love yourself, but that seems so harsh and
It's harsh. I think
so
if it's the note
I
that we have
know,
to
I
keep
know it's
hitting, is
not.
the
I know
note.
truth is not harsh. Not accepting the truth is hurtful to some people, but truth is not harsh. It is what it is, and you either love yourself or you don't. And if you love yourself, you won't allow someone to consistently lie to you about wanting to be with you or saying that they're going to do something for you that you're anticipating as a collective you when it comes to you two as a couple, and you continuously keep saying, or rather not believing them, not the words that they're saying, the actions, because that's where the truth lies.
And
So
there is a word of wisdom. Again, you can hear somebody tell you what you're saying, which is that you don't love yourself or they're lying to you. And these are words. And if they don't hit and connect you to looking at the facts, if people say show you who they are, believe them. Don't try to make them somebody they're not. Just be present, be clear about what you're seeing, do an honest assessment, right? And I
mhm.
think that one of the things that resonates with all of our conversations, and I think it is a core uh, virtue, characteristic, tenet of no love, is truth and it's honesty with yourself. It's not even judging externally. It's really not even looking at the other person and saying, "Hey, you didn't and you should and why didn't you?" It really is at the root saying, "What how would I treat myself? If I love myself, what would I put up with that?" And that's being honest, right? And that's
Yeah,
valuing yourself.
well said. So if I was to sum it up, my responses are probably always going to be not what it is that they are doing to you. What is it you're allowing people to do to you?
Hmm.
And that's including yourself. So we can say, well, just like this whole topic, these people, they're baiting, they are doing, but you have to allow or not allow. So what does that say about you for allowing them to do it? And now we got to be honest with ourselves and say, oh my gosh, like I really don't like myself. Okay, that's a place we can work with. Now I can assist you through that journey of self-reflection and finding value in yourself. But until you stop saying it's them, there's nothing that I could really do to help.
All right, so let's take a turn, right? So what we started with was how do you handle mixed signals? How do you see them, notice them, etc. I think what we've come to realize is that the inconsistency in either behavior or language is an indicator, and it's worth noticing, talking about, addressing, even with yourself. Why does it bother me? What is the deal? Would you agree? I think you're trying to say.
So, yeah, I was about to say that I was going to give the answer to how to deal with mixed signals. The way that I deal with mixed signals is I don't believe a word that anyone says. I
That
only believe what people do. And I have
that's
zero
a bar. That's a
expectations
bar.
of
You
what a
want to say
person,
that again? You want to? That's a
I don't
bar.
believe a word of what people say.
Okay.
I only believe what they do. I listen to what they say, and I promise you, I don't pay it no mind.
It
and then
probably
I'll
lets you
watch
sleep
what
at
they
night.
do. Say what you
It
say?
lets you sleep at night. That's why you sleep at
Unless
night. That's a lovely conversation that we had. Fun, wonderful. When you come through, then I'm good. But other than that, have a great day.
it, do I not say that though? Do I not move that way?
Yeah.
I'm saying so. I don't even let people tell. Like people want to do stuff with my for or with my children. They're like, "Oh, I'm gonna take your daughter, or I'm gonna take your kids out to the movie, or we're gonna go on the action park on such and such date." Like you said, July 4th, throwing out these dates. I'm like, call me on the day of and let me know, and I'll make sure that they're available, and I'll maneuver them so that they're available on that day, but they won't know it's because of you. Now, if somehow it stumbles, this is just me. I will own someone else's lack of integrity and make it mine. So if you make a promise to my child and say, hey, we're going to the movies on such and such date, and they've heard that, and you don't come through, my children are going to the movies on that day. I'm going to take them to the movies on that day. You might have said it, but their expectations will. I will not allow for my children's expectations to be ruined
So
because of you.
let's turn that in on ourselves. I was asked out on a date. I um they don't show up. You're saying kind of what you're saying is I'm gonna take myself out because I expected to be on a date today, so I'm going out.
I mean, well, see, if we go back to what I just said, I don't pay attention to anybody's words. So that wouldn't be. I wouldn't have had an expectation. I have zero expectations of
I'm
people.
just trying to help other people who are
I'm
coming
saying
at
I'm
it
pointing
from
back to.
yeah.
I'm showing so because there's people that are like me that are going to dissect what it is that I said. If I come back and say, "Yeah, you should take yourself out," that throws everything I said about the expectations of what people say out the window. I'm not a liar. I know exactly what I say, when I say it, how I said it, and I'm not a liar. I have zero expectations. So if I say, "Yeah, you should take yourself out," I just lied because earlier I said when someone speaks to me, I do not.
So
Go
what I
ahead.
think you're saying also is like so the person has to build trust with you. The other person is
Yeah.
gonna have to build some trust to do what they said before.
They're gonna have to move in a manner that lets me consider that they're probably gonna come through. And even with that, I'm not leaning in and trusting that it's gonna happen. Just not gonna do it.
Okay. I mean, again, we're having a conversation to give people an alternate way to really look through the lens of relationship in a way that allows them to know love and build along the triangle from self-love to being able to give unconditional love to being able to evolve, right? So I got to start with me.
No, I'm not upset. Well, let's do it this way. The things that people are upset, all the way down to the topics that we're discussing, are expectations of other people. I just gave them a formula that will prevent them from being harmed by people through expectations, which is to remove expectations of said person. The only expectations you should have for other people is during the quote unquote dating or interviewing process, see if they match your morals, principles, and values. So if they don't, they did not meet your expectations slash standard, and you don't move forward.
So I there's a question that I had that I think that we're going to turn it on its head, which is when do you walk away? But I think the question is really when do you engage, not when you walk away. Because technically, if I'm not having any expectations, you have to kind of get to a point where you've earned the trust and I can say that I can depend on you in some way, shape, or form. Then the question is really when do I commit versus when do I leave because I'm not really there. I haven't given you anything until I've gone through the process of evaluating. Again, to your point, my non-negotiable list, if you will.
Yeah, the only thing I would change in what you said is just shift if I can depend on you to are you dependable? I just
Dependable
it's
and regardless of me, right?
versus
You're saying
depend
it's not
yeah
about
versus I can depend on you. Are you dependable? Those statements are just they mean so much more to me than just being an interchangeable statement. So that's the only thing I would change. But outside of that, yeah, should you be moving forward as opposed to moving away? So I love that actually because it does suggest that when people are dating, they're throwing they're all in without
before,
any
and then they
evidence that they
graduate
should. So now they're trying
graduate.
exactly. Yeah, when you should be looking and analyzing and seeing if you're worth me going all in. That's probably the best. Yeah,
I
that's
think that
great.
is an aha moment, and I say
That is
that
a great.
because we typically ask, when should I leave, right? And I think
That's
real
good.
love is really saying, when should I commit? Um,
Yeah. When should
uh,
I engage
when
or
should I
actually
engage?
invest? When should I
Fully
invest?
invest,
Well,
right?
yeah, yeah, that's good. Yeah, well
And
said.
I think that really alleviates a lot of pressure.
Well, also alleviates a lot of pressure is see, we really, really, and this is why to me loving yourself is so important because loving yourself causes you to forgive yourself, causes you to be okay with who you are and what you may have done. So much so that you can freely talk about yourself. Now, why am I making this statement? Well, because in most people's mind, this exchange or being so intimate is sharing this stuff that I'm so vulnerable, whatever. But th- there's no such thing as vulnerability when you're really moving in love because you're just openly honest about yourself and who you are. Now, giving them the recipe to how to woo you so that they can act, that is not even up for discussion. But to just be asked about yourself and you speak and they gather whatever they want to gather from what you share, that is
I think
not
it's freeing. I think it's freeing, and
yeah,
it's a better. Better is not the right word. It is a more clear description of what you mean when you say just be.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
be is more about being comfortable, forgiving of yourself so that you're not giving away things that you are not willing to, that you can't don't have the capacity to share, right? Like you have the capacity to share it. It doesn't hurt me whether you take it or leave it because I have the capacity to share. I'm
exactly.
pouring from an overflow. I'm not giving you something that will hurt me if you choose to walk away with it, right?
Or if
And
you
if
just
I,
decide to share it or give it to someone else. See, that's the thing. So when you're moving in the essence of being or love, I think those two are interchangeable. Are interchangeable. Every place is a safe place. But see, right now, everyone's trying to find someone to make them a safe space. But when you are a being, every place is a safe space.
you're gonna have to
Because
go a little
what
deeper on that, sir. Thank you, though. I
because
like it, but keep
what
going.
what could you do to me if what I share freely can't harm me if you shared it with
Can't
someone
make
else?
me unsafe.
I
You can't
can't
make me
be you
unsafe.
can't blackmail me, you can't say stuff to me or whatever. That's why, especially on my podcast and stuff, I share all of the crap that I've done. So now it's like if you want to do some research and check my old internet and stuff or whatever,
You're not gonna
you
surprise me.
putting it out there, I'll be like, that's episode 7. I've been did that. I've been said that. I'm liberated of that. You cannot hold me hostage. You can't bound. You can't hold me in bondage or whatever. You can't threaten me with some information you're gonna tell my wife or whatever because I speak freely and I'm not concerned about what you think about me. I'm free of people. So those who are around me or choose me, they're truly choosing me. No secrets or whatever. They're gonna have to deal. So every place
They're
is a
not a
safe space
deal.
for me.
They're going to love you. Dealing implies
Yeah,
us deal. They're not
yeah,
dealing with you. They're embracing
yeah.
you. They are.
Yeah. They're gonna have to deal with the honesty that comes with me. And if they don't like it, they'll have to deal with it. But those who and I love that about my setup because it truly filters out the people that are not for me.
I think you
Everyone
value
that's in my
people that deal
circle
in
is supposed to be.
honesty, right? If you position people to deal in honesty, both with you and
Hmm.
around you, right? And I
Hmm.
think what I'm hearing you say also, and I also agree, is that when you are, for example, typically, like you said earlier, when you're looking for a relationship, you're looking for somebody to make you feel safe, somebody to feel loved or
Yeah.
supported or connected or whatever, right? But when you are fully loving of yourself, you're already connected. You're already full of support and love and all the other things, either because the way you show up has attracted it to you, or
Hmm.
you have sufficiency. You have a sufficiency, and I think that is a very
Yeah.
powerful word.
Yeah.
You're a self-sufficient, and I don't mean independent. I think we're always
Hmm.
interdependent, but when you're sufficient and you're not coming from lack, this expectation not being met doesn't destroy you. It doesn't take away from you. It just means I've noticed it and I've decided to make move in a different direction. It's not because it destroyed me. It's like I see you. It's not
Yeah.
something I want to deal with. I'm not doing it.
Hmm. What's that?
I love that. I love that this conversation has gone to the space of um, knowing that you're enough, right? And when you know you're enough, and when you can speak honestly, when someone is inconsistent or yeah, hyping you up or gassing you up or whatever, you call it out. Be like, I don't. That's not going working for me. And it's not a bad. It's just a fact, right? It's just truth, as you would say. It's just truth. I see this. I see that you did not show up on Tuesday when you said you would. That's a problem for me. You keep doing you. Not trying
Hmm.
to make you be anything different, but that doesn't work over here because that's not how I flow.
No.
And this is why a million years ago, when I said, "Hey, friend," you were like, "We ain't friends yet," um, because I
I'm
hadn't
never gonna be
shown up.
able to live that down. Oh my
Sure.
gosh. Yeah.
But it's cool. It's why I can say when you say, "Am I not like this?" I mean, "Yep, sure he is." I have experienced that, and I'm still here. Um, because of the truth, because of the honesty, and all the other stuff. It's also, again, like, but you came from a full space, right? You were full when you said that. And I say that because the person listening, when you come across mixed signals, you ought to be able to say, that's not working for me. Now, if they choose to adjust, adapt, grow, whatever the heck, and meet and come at you in a way that makes sense, that doesn't, nobody's saying this means you got to throw somebody away. It's just being honest.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, let's be honest. That's kind of why we have this episode because we're not checking it so much that it needs to be a conversation on how to get through it. We're not checking people. We're not putting standards or whatever. So they're getting away with it to where now you don't even know how to maneuver. Actually, you do. And even down to the question, mixed signals, there's no mixed signals. The
They're
signals
signals.
are they're very clear.
They're
They're
just
only
signals.
there's not mixed signals. It's just mixed. It's not even mixed. It's just you're not being honest with yourself. You have all the evidence, but because you want something so bad, you're settling and you're lying to yourself just to have someone around. And that's just a sad place to
I think that's a lens. Having had the rose-colored glasses on, that said, I am not enough unless I'm in a relationship where that is the epitome of bliss and existence is to be a part of a team. Um, there's if you believe that and buy into that, it does fuel this desire to sacrifice anything to have that experience. Yet evidence all around us says, what do people at the end of the day end up doing? Choosing to love themselves. The best relationships, the ones that last a million years, 9 times out of 10, they have chosen to be honest and love themselves, and they just happen to love themselves next to Joe and
with somebody else. Yeah, it just
Jay.
looks like two people. Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's
that's
the good
just
people.
he does that on Tuesdays. It doesn't bother me because I'm over here on Wednesday because I am me. And that is when you see that joy and that longevity is when people actually are like, no, I'm just this is me and that's him and we chose to do this together.
Yeah, and the thing that it's obvious to me, like the person who feels like, oh man, I am not something without a relationship with someone else. that is a telltale sign that they've skipped the relationship with themselves. They
I
have,
would say it's a telltale sign, and I'm going to liken it to financial literacy. You are not trained by default to be financially literate, although it is a requirement to be independent and autonomous and move through the world with some level of liberty, right? But you are not socialized unless you were blessed to be in a family that is financially literate. Similarly, we are not socialized to have self love at the top of the triangle. We're socialized to fit into a norm, which is either 2.5 kids, pick a fence, a dog, or the corner office, or I got to be at the alpha in this team, this friend group, or all these. There's these personas and profiles and things that are around us that trigger us to believe a certain way. And what I think this conversation and these conversations are meant to do is to challenge the status quo, challenge the default perception. Is it truth or is it what you have seen around and not questioned?
yeah. I that's the thing. If that's what everyone's doing, it seems like it's true, and that's what
It
people
does.
do,
It's
and they
what do you
don't.
call that? Following the crowd, like I don't know, mob behavior. If everybody's doing it, it must
Yeah,
be right. And you're like,
yeah,
ah,
but
ah.
they don't. They don't take the time to analyze the fruit of what everyone is doing. So,
I think that's the journey that we're on with this um, mission of Love Lab, and to incubate, uncover, unpack this idea of mixed signals. We've just unpacked it. It's not mixed. It's just signals, and the question is, what are you interpreting them, and what are you going to do about them? And we're really, over time, going to just challenge the status quo. We're going to challenge the the cultural perception. See if it's true. Does it resonate? Does it meet the sniff test for do you love yourself and are you functioning from a space of love?
hmm,
Which is the
I like that.
journey. That's the joy of the journey. Um,
I'm here
so,
for
but I know I think that's why you even created No Love. So I'm gonna give you a little space to close us out because I do want to. Again, this is based on what the No Love Simulator, and which is a key tool that can be used to help you work through this type of conversation with yourself and with amongst friends. So can you give us a little insight about um, maybe how the simulator would help someone who's even dealing with mixed signals?
So, I mean, what I've realized is people don't need more advice. Matter of fact, advice is not helpful at all because after I give you advice, I've just told you what to do, but you still didn't get the essence of why you should do it that way. So the no love simulation gives you what you actually need, which is practice. Practice will give you revelation, and then it will be your understanding, and then you'll maneuver accordingly. So this is practicing, but having these hard truths right in your face in a simulation that causes you to feel like it really happened to you, which is what causes it to stick. When our emotions and stuff are involved, that's when we actually take away the lesson. So you don't do too well at learning through success. You do best when you burn yourself, when you trip, when you stumble.
Learn
You
through pain.
learn emotionally not to do that again. So the practice with that's embedded in the simulation that revolves around dating, relationship, marriage, which all of the information bleeds over to work, family, friendship, and just social health.
Hmm.
That is what is within the simulation of no love. You literally are single, you go through dating, you go through relationships, you go through marriage, you get cheated on, you get divorced, you get uh, advanced, you have children, you can even pay for counseling to avoid divorces. There is no stone unturned. It is a simulation that presents as a board game that allows for you to condense what takes people months, years, and even decades to experience in real life in hour portions. So that is what the simulation does. It allows for you to practice so that once you get out, one thing that I despised hearing when I was mentoring young men 11 through 18 years of age, and the parents were not doing what they were supposed to get them prepared. They would always say, well, he or she is too young to do this, until they got quote unquote too old, where they were getting frustrated about what they could not do. They would make this statement that would make me cringe. That's okay, because you'll understand it when you get into the real world. They would say it all the time. And I'm like, I don't understand why people would not simulate the real world in their household, so that once they get into the real world, they're like, oh, this is just like it's always been. I say all that to say this is my grown up version of assisting people and simulating something so that they don't have to learn it when they go into the real world. Or if they are in the real world dealing with it, they have a better understanding as to how.
I think you're right. I think you hit on like a really beautiful word there was understand, right? We're having a conversation and we're exchanging information, but that doesn't necessarily mean you understanding. And typically reinforcement, right? Reinforcement of an idea or a thought really helps it stick as well. And what, again, each of these episodes will always build on a core principle that is in there, or drive you back to what does practice look like. And so I think that the goal and the hope is that if you find an area that you're kind of trying to resolve, I think practice makes perfect, right? And practice is a human trait that allows us to get better over time. We practice everything. We practice writing, we practice reading. We go to school to practice what our industry standards are. We practice, even in a relationship, you're truly practicing over and over to try to get better. And why do we not wait? The thing that is so important to us and that we're all, socialized to pursue. And I say that socialized because some of us have kind of like, yeah, it doesn't matter. But I say that because it was such an important thing. Why are there not tools that teach us how to do it before we get in it? We say the same thing about money, and that's why I go back to financial literacy. We all wonder, how did we get here? And why are we all trying to struggle to get along when we weren't taught financial literacy at 10, 15, 12, whatever, and then you get 30 and you're like, why? I don't, but the people who are taught it function better. They move through the world better. Your children who are blessed to have been in this philosophy their whole life are going to not have the same pitfalls that somebody who didn't get to practice, right? And so that's what we're hoping that you are inspired to do, which is visit No Love Inc. and practice.
And the only thing that I would just tweak in what she said is perfect practice makes perfect. And the only reason why I have to stress that is because I do a lot of teaching in so many different things: choreography, stepping, learning how to do things. And I see people who were practicing incorrectly. So they're building a habit on how to do it
That's a
wrong, which
word.
is
That's a word, y'all.
so,
Y'all get that? Don't practice
so,
the wrong thing and then expect to get on stage and do the right
so
thing.
perfect practice makes perfect. So the simulation of no love allows for you to practice in the perfection of the essence of love, so that when you do maneuver in this space that should be a loving space, you have practice in love on how to translate these principles, these philosophies, and the approaches that come as a result of the practice.
And it does translate. I will attest to having grown over the years, and it translates into all areas of life. Like the way that being showing up as an authentic person, or being, or just being like seeing signals as signals, not good, bad, or ugly, as just a
Hmm.
signal, has
Yeah.
helped me in my work. Right? It's helped me in my work. It's helped me to be a better listener, not from the standpoint of pleasing the other person, but actually hearing them, and how does it resonate with my morals, character, etc. It's allowed me to show up and be more confident. Again, if you're pouring from a full cup, somebody's negative or hurtful or non-attention just doesn't phase you as much. It
Yeah.
don't rumble as much.
Yeah, and not to mention you don't judge. Like I said, you just look at data for what it is. I'll give a great example. There was somebody that
Look
was
at data for what it is. Okay.
look at data for what it is. So there was a guy that was talking to me about some guy that he was working with that was so lazy. He was lazy. The dude was lazy. He's like, I'm ready to get rid of him. I was like, well, if you're gonna get rid of him, I was like, why would you? He's like, why would you want a lazy person?
Like a lazy person.
I
What are you
said,
doing?
I said because there is a system that I'm creating and I'm building, and I want to, and only a lazy person is gonna figure out the easiest way for me to get it done. And he looked like he kind of tilted his head, and I'm like, it is what it is. Now, once he helps me to figure out the simplest way to do it, I will go find a workhorse to work it. But I need a lazy person
Who wants the
to help me
easiest way to get it done? They want to get it fast.
to
They want the simplest way to
to
get it
do it the simplest way. So again, this is seeing data for what it is. Defining the person as lazy to you could be a benefit to me. I didn't say that lazy was good or bad. I just said some you can either say lazy is good for me or bad for me. But just define it for what it is. Don't make a judgment on the person. Just say that that's good for me or it's not good for me and move on. So that's what's helpful to me. I just again I believe people. I've seen that you're lazy, or
You're inconsistent. I see that you have mixed
and
signals.
I will use that as a benefit if I have to work with you because of the job setup or what have you, and I will maneuver and just trust that you will be who you've shown me that you're going to be every single time. I'm not going to try to motivate you to be better or work hard. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to accept who you are and maneuver and move accordingly. And what we do and where the frustration lies is we look at people and we say, well, I would prefer for them to be like this. And we'll work hard at trying to change them when they've shown you who they are.
Yeah, and that doesn't negate growth, right? So we're not saying that no people aren't going to change over time or that you won't positively influence each other over time to, pick up each other's habits. I think that happens when you coexist with somebody. You learn from things that work. So it's not like just accepting them for who they are does not mean this is it forever. Like don't ever talk to them about hopes and dreams and that's not what we're saying. It's more like see them. No, like
I love that you said that because though it's a possibility that they will evolve, I highly recommend. I
highly recommend.
highly recommend when you decide that you're going to marry a person to consider that they will not evolve
And can you
and
handle that?
and make that decision based off of.
Can you handle that? If they didn't change anything and in 10 years they were the same person they are today, could you handle that?
There you go.
I think that made me ask a whole bunch of different questions now, even as I go, like, do I want to engage? Like, not leave you because I didn't say I was there yet. But if do I want, if you didn't change anything, hmm, makes you really look a different way, doesn't it?
I hope it does.
And that starts with like if people are who they are, like if they show you who they are, they believe them. The question is, it goes to what you said. Clearly, you're not believing them because you're trying to fairy tale them into something that they're not because you don't believe them.
People and listen to this, and
Yes, they are.
I promise you, everyone that comes to me for counsel or what have you, they'll tell me how terrible their spouse is. He's this, or he doesn't do this. She's this, she doesn't do this. And I will ask them the same question when y'all were dating, whenever did they show signs of doing this? No, they never did this. And I'm like, so why are you bashing them for not doing something that they've never done or doing something that they've always done? So again, we're right back to what I just shared. The signs have always been there. Now you want to change them and you're upset with them for being who they've been when you chose that. That only suggests where you are in the time of your choosing. And that's what we don't want to deal with. And that's why like it bothers me to hear people that talk terribly about their exes, because that's only a reflection of you,
You chose it.
either a past you or the current you. That always points back to you and what you chose. And they will give you a list of how dirty he or she is, how whatever. And I'm like, you lived with that. You slept with that. These are all things that you're telling me that you have chosen to accept, receive, and partner with and have children and all of this stuff with,
All the
but
things.
you want to convince me that he or she is this terrible being. So, what does that say about your psyche, either then or now? But it's got to be a time where you have to say that this is where you were in your life. So, it is pointless to me to talk bad about a person that you chose because you're only talking about your choosing. I
Yeah,
just
I,
don't
I
get
think that
it.
I feel that way strongly, and why I would say, while there are people that I have dated that I don't necessarily pursue being around, I don't necessarily have a lot, a negative about them. It's more like it ran its course, and we ain't supposed to
Mhm.
be together. But
And
and
I'm
because
not there
I got
anymore.
I'm not there anymore, and there was a point in our path where we said, "Ooh, we going this way," and I didn't force it back. I just said, we gonna let it go." But I see, but I respect, and goes to loving yourself. I respect the Michelle that chose that person because she chose that person for a reason. Like there are certain chapters in my life where I needed a particular type of support, maybe, or I needed a certain level of pushing or something, right? There's something about what this person brought to me at that time that made me stay. So I have to respect the Michelle that chose that person, but also love the person who chose to either evolve away or move through whatever that was. So there's a reason for everything. I have to take responsibility for the life that I'm living.
Well, see, with that, but that's why I'm very appreciative and kind and in a relationship with all of my exes because I truly appreciate and value what they presented me that allowed for me to better see the value of my wife. That's the best way I can put it. So the stuff that they did or caused me to say, "Oh no, I'm not dealing with that or going through that again," or whatever, it's the things that without them, they would have robbed me of the value that I see or saw when I actually met and found my wife. So
I think
like
that is
those are
really cool. Isn't
benefits
that
and
what
blessings.
dating is? I think that you really hit on. I think that may be a really cool topic for next conversation. Is the you can respect the people along the way when dating is a journey of clarification to get to the person that is right for you, and it's not the people that aren't right for you didn't not teach you something. They were part of the story, and they deserved the space that they were given, good, bad, or ugly. Because some people have been through some things, but
And
you know,
what better to get those lessons than to do it in a simulation?
yeah,
Those
why not do the
characteristics and
simulation?
stuff that you want to avoid are in the simulation. Have those terrible moments in the simulation, as I shared earlier. I've finished years, months of having to do the dating thing or whatever in the simulation to get the learning to help you see, oh no, I'm not doing that. I've already done that here in the game.
This
That's
is the
role number
outcome.
5. That's landing space number 6. I ain't not doing that. So what better place?
Yeah, I think somebody told me that I'm gonna let it go, but somebody you shared said that the playing the game equates to a number of years or something. I
Oh
can't
yeah,
remember.
it yeah, he had been in I think 4 relationships in like uh 3 or 4 years before he finally got to know love based off the simulation setup because he was counting how many relationships he ended up with and went back to single before he actually won the simulation. So yeah, he really put it together and that's what helped me to realize why I did condense years because I mean the frustrations, the way that he would slap the table and get upset every time you had to go back to single or their relationship didn't work out, you really have a visceral feeling to the simulation, which allows for those lessons to be embedded in you and to allow for you to move in knowledge and wisdom. So yeah, I love.
I think that what's cool also about the simulator is the way that we're wired as humans and why journals and affirmations and visualizations work is because your mind blurs the line, right?
You
And so
can't tell what's
you can't
real and
tell
what's yeah.
what's real. So
Hmm.
being able to use this simulator and run through scenarios trains your brain to look for particular types of patterns and answers in the real world because it doesn't know the difference. And so I think that's what's really beautiful about this tool and why I think I'm committed to like, continuing to have these conversations to help people, figure out why would I use it? Because of what we talked about today. Like we don't have all the, we didn't go through all the scenarios and all the answers.
Yeah,
You can. If you can
exactly.
get to the root of why you feel what you feel about you, that makes you
Mm.
tolerate and put up with and deal with all things, right? So, but in
Exactly.
a safe place, ain't nobody watching you, ain't
Exactly.
nobody judging you.
Exactly.
It's just,
Exactly.
it could be you and you, or it could be you
Yeah.
and some friends, and you keep your processing to yourself. But you can get through it, over it, above it. You can have the life that you deserve and know the love that you want. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. We will
Yeah. Thank you for
definitely
your
do
minds and
this
time.
again.
Yeah.
Um, Eddie, closing word.
I just, if you stayed this long, you're invested in just your love journey. You're invested in yourself, and that means a lot to me. And I really appreciate your mind and your time. And I wish you nothing but success. And
We love you, and we'll see you next time on the Love
yeah,
Lab Live. Talk to y'all
all
later.
right,
Bye
you
bye.
gotta be safe.